So whilst police are still busy looking for absconded prisoner Paul Robson, I thought I'd come and take a look at the prison from which he escaped. This is North Sea Camp, Freeston Shore, near Boston. It's a Category D men's open prison, and first opened as a borstal in 1935. And one of the first jobs for the inmates was to build the sea wall and fight back the sea. And the reclaimed land was then converted into a farm, so the inmates were learning all sorts of farming practice and things like that. But as far back as 2006, a BBC investigation found that 339 inmates had escaped in a period of 10 years. That's 33 a year. And in April 2007, Channel 4's Dispatches programme secretly recorded at North Sea Camp and found that there were prisoners smuggling alcohol and taking drugs quite openly, and it was actually described as inadequate. So there's been shortfalls in the prison service here for quite some time. So Lord Ramsbottom, who was a former chief inspector for prisons for England and Wales, he described the prison as being not secure. He said you've got a lot of people that are housed here that frankly shouldn't be here. So the prison holds 420 inmates, and it was last inspected in April 2022. And one of the findings of the inspection in April was that many of the prisoners presented a high risk to others, and the public protection work was reasonable overall, but weaknesses in the monitoring of telephone calls and things like that were a key concern. So he made recommendations in that area. And one of the ex-inmates from the prison here said that when he first arrived it had more of a look like Butlins. He said there were no fences and there were many inmates wandering around. So one of the questions we have to ask is the prison actually fit for purpose? I mean, did this guy walk out the gate? Was he assisted? I guess the answers to that will come out in due course. So in the meantime, we have to ask, should we be worried about Paul Robson's escape? His crimes go back to 1988, when he was jailed for 42 months for assaulting a 12-year-old girl in Lancaster. In 1990, after an early release, he abducted an 8-year-old girl and served just 5 years of his sentence. In 1995 he was at it again, whilst living in a hostel in Carlisle. He approached 2 9-year-old girls in the street, and although the girls fled, he got a conditional discharge for that. So the same year, which is probably one of the most highlighted cases, he attacked a 31-year-old woman and in her own house in Oxford, and he got into the house through a cat flap. He was described by the judge at the time as a nuisance. He was described by the judge at the time as a menace to females, and he got 2 life sentences. So should we be worried? Well, according to police, Robson is a dangerous individual that should not be approached under any circumstances, and they say he could be anywhere in the country now. So it's unlikely that Robson could have got far without assistance, so we need to ask, did he just walk out the gate, or did he actually have help on the inside or outside? I guess we'll find out in due course, but in the meantime the police have advised that if you do see Robson, don't approach him under any circumstances, and you should literally call 999 and stay well clear of him. Having walked to the back gate of the prison, I can tell you one thing, that if a prisoner absconded from the rear of the prison, it would be at least an hour before he actually made it to anything resembling a road. The fields surrounding the prison are covered in dikes and ditches, so that would make it difficult. So the only thing I can think of is perhaps he walked out the front gate.